Self-sabotage is not the problem entrepreneurs normally struggle with. It's the solution to a deeper problem. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Mind Engineer. Here, Tommy Walker, sharing insight and tools to help you guys if you're trying to build a business, if you are trying to launch it, whether it is scale it, it doesn't matter. It's important to understand how the mind works because it's the mind that is going to keep you stuck. Every week, I work with groups of entrepreneurs that are trying to get their business off the ground. And most of them come to me and tell me, Tommy, I have, procrastination problems. I have, time management problems. I have stress problems. I have anxiety problems. I have self-sabotage problems. And in all of them, the pattern is that they're trying to overcome the solution. Sorry, they're trying to overcome, the symptom of a deeper problem. So when we're talking about self-sabotage is not the actual problem. It's just the symptom that the mind is doing something to protect itself. One of the biggest things that the mind does is to protect us. That is the main objective of the mind, to protect us from pain. So yesterday I was working with a group of entrepreneurs, and one of them was telling me that each time she starts growing the business, she finds herself blocking it, self-sabotaging. And she told me that she had tried many times going to therapy to try to overcome the self-sabotage, and she wasn't able to. So I asked her, what if you are facing this all wrong? And she opened her eyes big and was like, what are you talking about, Tommy? What if self-sabotage is not the problem? Self-sabotage is the protective mechanism. And again, she opened a big, wide her eyes and was like, protecting me from what, Tommy? From pain. So as we started talking, what she started telling me is that each time she had to offer her services, send people the price of the product that she had, and it wasn't services, sorry, the product that she had, she would postpone it. She would self-sabotage. She wouldn't send people, although she got people interested, people saying like, oh yeah, please tell me more about this product, about what it does, its benefits, all of that. She would send everything. She would really help them through that. And then when they asked, okay, send me the price, this person wouldn't send it. So she saw that as self-sabotage. But as I started sharing this with her, I told her that that was her way of protecting her. And she was like, okay, Tommy, what am I trying to protect myself from? And then I asked her, if somebody says no, or if somebody ghosts you after you send them the price of the product, how would you feel? Oh, Tommy, and her whole body changed, her body language changed. She's like, oh, I'm going to feel bad. I'm going to feel angry. I'm going to feel disappointment. I'm going to feel, and she said several things. And I asked her, could that be a way of rejection? And she was like, yeah, of course. That's going to be rejection. So I told her, do you like feeling rejected? And she's like, no way. I don't like feeling rejected. So then I told her, there you go. If you don't like being rejected, and most people don't like to be rejected, they're going to create mechanisms to protect themselves from being rejected. So the problem is not the self-sabotage. That is the solution to protect yourself from rejection. When we start understanding this, now we can make a big twist in our mind, right? A big change in how we approach this. Most people get angry at themselves, beat themselves up for self-sabotage or procrastination or perfectionism, when that actually is a protective mechanism. Instead of fighting the mind, you need to play on the same team. When you start beating yourself up, you're creating opposing teams. One team is trying to protect you, parts of you are trying to protect you, and other parts are beating those parts up to stop doing what they're doing. And I'm pretty sure that for most people, you that you're watching in there, it's not working. If the title resonated with you and you stayed up to here, I'm pretty sure that you have tried things to try to overcome self-sabotage. How's it worked for you? please write it in the comments. I love to read that later. Put in the comments if you have tried overcoming self-sabotage, and have you been able to overcome self-sabotage? I've been an entrepreneur for 27 years now. I've been on mindset work for the last 17 years, and it's amazing to see how people are struggling with their mindset and are trying to think that the problem is everything else. Like, again, the problem is procrastination, anxiety, self-sabotage, self-doubt, laziness, and they bring all these names to try not to go deeper. I was working one-on-one with another person, and he was like, hey, you know what, Tommy? I don't know what's going on, but I'm not being able to get myself out there to offer the services that I have. He was a consultant, and he wasn't being able to get on LinkedIn and show his work, show what he was doing, right? And when I asked him, okay, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, you know what? LinkedIn is BS. LinkedIn is a horseshit. I asked him, okay, why do you think LinkedIn is horseshit? Then he told me it is horseshit because my wife had to, put stuff out there every day when in her past job, it was mandatory to put things on LinkedIn every day. And I said, what does that have to do with LinkedIn? So the story was much longer, but just to make it shorter, eventually he realized that he was so scared of exposing himself. And as he didn't feel that he was at the level that he should be, professionally, income-wise, recognition, whatever, as he wasn't at the level that he thought he should be, he thought others were going to look at him like in a, looking at him that he's lower, he's less than others. So he was protecting himself from posting on LinkedIn to get out there. So we started working on understanding deeper, why did he think that he was less than others? Because whatever he was projecting onto others, that others were going to see him as less than, it was something that he was telling himself, because he wasn't on LinkedIn yet and nobody had said anything to him. So he was telling himself that. So he was self-sabotaging, going into LinkedIn to show his services, his consulting company, because he was scared. And instead of the mind saying, you know what, I'm scared of going to LinkedIn and people see me as blah, 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 whatever less than, the mind was looking for some type of logic reason to make sense why he wouldn't go into LinkedIn without connecting with the pain. And that's what the mind does. The mind doesn't want to connect with the pain. The mind wants to try to make it look like that the problem is something external. Oh, LinkedIn is horseshit. This other woman, the problem is self-sabotage. No, she was scared of being rejected. The same thing happened to this guy. So most people, most entrepreneurs are scared of being rejected. That's why they don't do what they're doing. That's why they don't get out there and show themselves, even if nobody's watching. What if nobody watches this video? What if I get a hater? I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going, because even if one person sees this and benefits, that's great. And if nobody sees it, if it has no reproductions, that's fine. What I normally do is I put this in a group that I have. I send this many times to a mailing list that I have for entrepreneurs. And I start creating resources, and I start nurturing the people that start following me. And maybe I don't have a big following, but I make a good living for what I'm doing. So it's important to understand how the mind works. You're not, the problem is, as I was saying, the problem is not procrastination, perfectionism, self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is a symptom that maybe you're scared of putting yourself out there and getting judged, criticized, rejected, laughed at, anything. The other day, another woman I was working with, she had finally been able to put some videos out there. And when she told her family, most of her family was against it. So then after that, for a week or so, she went silent in the social media platforms. She didn't do anything on social media. So she wanted to have some sessions with me to help her overcome this. And we had one session, and she already felt much more free from other people's crap. That doesn't mean that she's going to start posting overnight, don't get me wrong, but at least she started feeling much better. And I gave her homework to keep working on that so that when her family started throwing shit at her, she wouldn't take it personal. She wouldn't start judging and criticizing herself, bring her down, and then start hiding again for her business. Because this is what most entrepreneurs go through, and they don't want to see it. They would rather pay somebody to give them scripts on how to reach out to people, pay somebody to create an amazing website, landing page, videos, or whatever, because they don't want to expose themselves. They don't want to do the work. And that's why what happens, doesn't matter if you have the best script out there, you're not going to be able to perform it correctly because your mind is going to shut down, protect you from a screw up, from a rejection, from somebody ghosting you. Because I tell people there's two types of rejection, directly or indirect. Direct rejection is if somebody says, no, I'm not interested. Oh, it's too expensive. Indirect is when they don't respond anymore, ghosting. That is still taken as a rejection for the mind. The mind starts creating a narrative behind that. And the narrative is normally negative. And that negative narrative, to protect yourself from feeling like crap again, what you do is you stop doing what you need to do. That's how it works. Is that basic? Don't get me wrong, I've been studying the mind for 17 years, and I'm here and understanding the mind because I've done tons of work. I have over 7,000 hours of working with people from 44 countries. So it doesn't matter where you come from, your family, your background, your religion, doesn't matter. I work with most people from different religions around the world, and I've seen how the mind works. And it's the same for everyone. The thing is, it's intertwined in very different, unique ways because every person is unique. So I help them understand that intertwine within the mind and then be able to start dissolving that yarn of, wires in there to be able to realign them to become more who they're meant to be and be able to start taking more actions. If this is making sense, if you've struggled with procrastination, perfectionism, self-sabotage, if you're stuck with your business, stop trying to acquire something external that is going to really supposedly help you get out of where you are and start working within. If you want to know more, I have a free training I put together with the 3 main mind roadblocks that most entrepreneurs hit and keep them stuck. I have a very popular phrase that I use a lot that is, it's not what you think that is holding you back. It's not what you think that is holding you back. It's what you don't know you think that is holding you back. I know it's a little bit, weird, but what I'm saying with that is normally people don't know the truth of what is holding them back. And they normally try to make changes to the symptoms and it doesn't work. Because if I have fever and I start, trying to deal with a fever without understanding that the fever is a symptom of something deeper. Maybe I have an infection. I need to work on the infection, and the fever is going to be controlled by controlling the infection. So if you keep trying to control the fever, you might get some pills to lower the fever. Eventually, if you don't deal with the infection, the fever is not going to be able to be controlled. This is the same thing. Stop trying to control self-sabotage, procrastination, laziness, whatever, lack of motivation, all of that. Go deeper underneath the iceberg. The picture of the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg over the water is self-sabotage, procrastination, all that. Underneath, there's a much bigger story, understanding that needs to happen for you to be able to finally dissolve. So one of the things that I tell people is that I dissolve their problems, their limitations. Is not that we change, we dissolve them. And through specific steps that I take people through. So if you want to know more, remember, write the word free and I'll share this free training with more insight and tools on how the mind works and how to start getting off the ground with your business. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments again if you like this, if you have any questions, and I'll get back to you. Thank you very much for watching.